It's live, bro. We in there.
Boom! We in the gym. Welcome to EJ's Gym. Special edition. We got cameras in this bad boy. Check out the cameras.
Live,
we got Big T.O. in this bad boy. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, guys? Teddy Octavian, EJ's big older brother, here from Broward County in North Carolina, Cary.
Broward County. And we got Coach Mike Rice in this bad boy. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what up? It's your boy, Coach Michael Rice, man. Today you win because today you live. Let's get it.
Hi. Did you hear that one more time for him, Mike?
Today you win because today you live. Let's go.
Right, man. I have some great guys with me, and we're going to share some positive information to help you guys. Remember, this is EJ's Gym, a guide to elevate your mindset. I'm collabing with my boy Mike Rice and my big bro, Big T.O. And the first topic we're going to talk about is these two guys are amazing fathers. T.O., a father of two, Mike, father of one. And we want to talk about the importance of fatherhood. So, starting with you, Big T.O., how important is fatherhood? When you see, shout out Alana, shout out Kyle, Uncle EJ will be down there hanging with you guys. See your dad, I'm on YouTube. He's on YouTube, right? So, what is the importance of fatherhood? How do you feel as a father? Like, is it like surreal? Like, man, like I'm not a kid anymore. I have two.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Looking at the process of it, like I could honestly say that I would have never imagined being a father. Mm-hmm. But in each moment, watching my daughter was my firstborn, and in watching her grow and watching her do the amazing things and watching what I pour into her, and seeing how beautiful she is on the inside, beautiful on the outside, it's just like looking at this amazing gift that God blessed me with. Mm-hmm. All right. And watching her genius, watching her beauty, watching her how she strives, watching her how she works. And then with my son Kyle, watching this other gift that God blessed us with, watching his humor, watching his energy, listening to how he speaks, how he acts. Is where you're angry, mm-hmm. but it's like you kind of have to take a step back and say, okay, they're just kids. Now let me just remember to talk to them, right? Because for me, an area that I always say I need to work on, and I think God gave me my wife, because she got strong patience.
Good teamwork, baby.
So my
teamwork
wife will look at me and she'll be like, babe, let's talk to them, and this, that, and the third, and I'm just like, she's right, you know what I mean? And I always tell my wife, like, God put me with you for a reason, because that is an area you're stronger at, you know what I mean? And it's an area that I'm continuing to work in, you know what I mean? So I think for me, that's the hardest part as a father, that I still work in, because I grew up in a home which was very disciplined, or whatever, maybe because I grew up with my mom, so she didn't want me to kind of do what the folks in the streets were doing, and I thank God for it. Mm-hmm. Even though, I do it differently with my kids, or whatever it may be. For me, the hardest part is patience, because I always got to remind myself, Jesus, they're kids. That's my take on it.
Well, that's great. You guys have great teamwork, you and your wife. Yeah. That's basically how you do it. I always feel like it takes a village. It takes a big village to raise a child.
That's true.
Of course, you always have mom and daddy. That's the center, and then you have the family around, and then you have the outside environment, school, and everything else. To build that up. But for you, Mike, what has been the most challenging thing?
Man, the most challenging thing is being the disciplinary. Having to be the disciplinary for my child, whatever. Right. Because when you have a kid, or you have a child, it's like but they're about to be cool, but let them get away with it. It's like, but it ain't in me, man. It's like I have to be the strong so he can see. That it's just some stuff you can't do. Like you have, it just happened like a couple days ago. He said something that I was like, I didn't disagree with. I had to be like, hey man, you don't do that. Right. And it got to the point where I did discipline him, but I was like, there's some stuff you just can't let slide. Right. The grandparents are probably going. Some people think it's like funny or cute or whatever, and the grandparents are. They let the parents step. It's like my parents. They let me step in. If if something's going on, instead of them doing, they just let me do it. Or whatever. Because I think that's important. But yeah, that's the challenging part because you don't want to, you don't want to chastise them or whatever. But some instances, man, it's like you have to. So there has to be a certain balance.
Okay.
But and when I gotta discipline, when I have to discipline him, I want mommy.
Yeah.
I don't want to. You don't want to hear that, but
Right.
I mean, that's just you have to be that strong person. And after I do that, I talk to him. That dude is smart. I talk to him just like I was talking to one of my students.
Right.
I said, hey, if you continue to do this, you have to go to bed a little earlier than you used to, and sometimes constantly, definitely, and that has happened. And it's been some times where he went to bed a little earlier because he didn't want to listen. So I think it's a challenge, but I say you just got to have that balance. So
okay,
let me piggyback off of that too, man, because the disciplinary piece is challenging, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's moments where I know I have to play the role of the bad guy.
Exactly.
Right? And the part that always eats me up is like, man, like it eats up your heart.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I love you and I have to do this, right? Because I don't want you to go astray, right? And be like devoured by the wolves out there in the world, or whatever it may be. But the thing I notice with my kids is like, even though I'm the disciplinary individual and my wife plays the role of disciplinary as well too, but in doing it and after they do what they do and you have the conversations with them so they understand, look, what you did, here's the consequence to it. This will be taken away from you. You can't do this. There's no playing. You're on timeout or whatever it may be. You're grounded. You clean the dishes or you go to bed early. But what I've realized is even when you do that as a parent, I notice that the love from them to me as a father or from them to my wife as their mother, it creates a tighter bond, right? Mm-hmm. So even though you discipline them, they still run to you and say, I love you.
Yeah. Because it's like, but man, my son is smart, man. He used that I love you boy to his advantage. I love you, Dad. It was like, not when I'm like, not when I'm in a zone and he said, I'm like, dang, I love you too, bro. Like, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I have a son, but you are in a situation, and a lot of fathers, that you have a daughter.
Yeah.
That's two different things, man. Kind of break it. I know you can't really explain it, but
yes.
Having a daughter, man, it's just, because I hear about it, but I don't have a daughter, but just kind of explain the difference, man, because there is a difference. So kind of just elaborate.
With my daughter, again, she was my firstborn, right? And I love my daughter with all that's in me. And I know that, and I look at it from an era standpoint, right? Like back in the days, men courted women, right? Mm-hmm. And if a man had good intentions for that woman, they'll sit down with the parents of that that woman's household and pretty much say, I have feelings for your daughter. They're good intentions. There's going to be a point where I want to marry your daughter and stuff like that, and they work out that long-term process in their marriage. Then the 90s came in, and certain things were being portrayed differently. Mm-hmm. Women were being looked at differently, and so on and so forth. And now looking at this era, and I'm gonna use the term loosely, thirsty individuals, right? Boys are doing things faster, girls are doing things faster. Being God-fearing, going to the church and everything else like that. I worry, but I don't worry. Because the way I portray myself as a man to my daughter, if I come home with flowers to my wife, I give my daughter roses. You know what I mean? If my daughter comes through and gives me a hug, I embrace my daughter. If she doesn't, I'll play around with my daughter, goof around with her, give her a hug, pick her up, tell her I love you, or whatever it may be. So when a situation comes and a guy comes into play, then she knows how she should be cared for. So if what I'm doing, he can't do in your life, then whoever comes in just knows that I'm your example. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think about these things, but she's still young. She's still a kid. So it's like, continue to enjoy who you are and grow into, your womanhood as it comes. Because now she is 10, she'll be 11 this year. Wow. So it's just like, if there's a lot of things my wife are instilling into her as how she should be cared for, how she should carry herself as a woman. But I used to worry and I used to be this, and I'm not going to lie, like, I don't know if everybody's probably seen Bad Boy 2, and there's that scene where
exactly
Martin's daughter was going on a date, and I get comical with it, and I'm like, look, I told my wife, yeah, that'll be me in that situation. For that, I always want to make sure that she is ready for the world. I always, tell her the truth, like, there's going to be certain guys that come up to you. You're a beautiful girl, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're bright, right? You're going to have individuals that's going to look at your external, but you want them to be able to challenge your mental, you know what I mean? And you have to be able to do the same thing. Okay. So it's like both my wife and I instill her greatness. So if somebody walks in, they won't deteriorate your value.
Bro.
You know what I mean? So that's just pretty much, where we're at, and we continue to instill this into her. You know what I mean? You're beautiful, you're bright, you're intelligent. Don't let nobody tear you down from your pedestal. And that's just pretty much it. So if somebody comes to the picture, you already see yourself here.
Exactly, that's good.
You know what I mean? So, and I know that we instilled it into her because I had said something one day, and she was being all funny and comical, and I'm like, man, you think you smart or something? She said, yeah, I am. So that right there let us know that it's already in you.
Exactly, man. That's good.
Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so we are talking about the importance of fatherhood and raising children. How important is it for you guys to communicate to your children? Because a lot of people discipline in many different ways, not saying something is right or wrong, but what are some ways that you use to communicate with your children? And is that important to communicate your feelings and what you want, or do you just expect them to do it?
Well, for me, again, like I said earlier, me and my wife go to church a lot, so I'm God-fearing, my wife is God-fearing. So there's a lot of biblical things. If I read a scripture or something like that, especially in Proverbs, and I'm like, man, this is something that I'm going through. So it's like, I'll tell my daughter, like a scripture, I'm like, what do you think this means? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that it allows you to think. Because even with my son, I always tell my son, like, if you're going through a situation and it's hard, practice makes what? And he'll end up the sentence that says practice makes perfect. You know what I mean? So if it's hard now, that's fine, but go at it until you get it, right? So for me, it's just like when situations are hard, and as a father, you may feel disappointed, you may feel angry, but you got to figure out how to flip that switch in you in order to understand that there is a certain way to communicate to your kids. Because growing up, when my mom yelled at me, I just naturally shut down. Right? Like, I really didn't pay attention to you. You were doing, like, she was doing so much yelling and screaming that it was going from one ear out the other. You know what I mean? And then for me, it was just like, what's that cliche where they pretty much say, oh, they tell you to sit down?
Because if you think about it, you brought up the social media. If you hit this earlier. If the parent is there but they're not interacting,
you have to be
the
present.
kid is watching somebody. Somebody on that social media is their dad. Somebody on that is their mom. So if that's the influence they got, understand the person don't got to be there, like right in front of me. If I'm watching this is what I'm portraying, bro. So
I shut that down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's no TV for you. There's no this, there's no that. If you got to do your homework, do your homework. For my daughter, she has a laptop, do your homework, do your lessons. Whatever the school has set up for you, shut it down, right? Or whatever it may be. With my son, read your book. For your reading lessons, let's do your homework. Go on the computer, do your iReady that the school has set up for you. Shut it down. Friday, a little bit of TV time, a little bit of this. If they have their Kindles, it shuts down at a certain time, and I'll force them to read or do an activity. Because for me, it's about stimulating the mind. Because I tell my son, what's the most powerful muscle in your body? My daughter, what's the most powerful muscle in your body? My brain. Feed it. The more you feed it. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, he who solves problems gets paid. You see where I'm coming from? So at the end of the day, if you feed yourself enough knowledge and you apply that information, somebody's going to notice that work. Because you kept feeding your mind. You know what I mean? So, like, me and my wife were on the same page with that piece. Monday through Thursday, everything is school, everything is this, there's no TV for you. When the weekend comes, you can enjoy whatever you got to enjoy, but with only a limited time. Don't let that stuff consume you. Because at the end of the day, again, it's a gateway, and everybody's walking through it and being consumed by it.
All right, I like that. I like what you two guys are saying. So I'm taking from what you guys are saying that it's very important for a father and parents in general to set that foundation
Exactly.
for their child, because I know there's a lot of things going on, just like you guys say, social media and things like that, that kids think are real. But when you have that foundation, you have something to go back on. You're like, oh, that's not real, or whatever the case may be. Because a lot of people follow waves.
Exactly.
But those people, most of the people that are following waves have no foundation.
That's
you know what I mean? So
not anchored.
it's very, just like you said, they're not anchored. So it's very important for parents to set that foundation and not be afraid, just like you guys, discipline your child.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you don't have to, and speaking to the parents or the father that's not in the home, the thing is you don't have to be there.
You're right.
I mean, like, you don't have to be there all the time in the present, because like you said, you coach, but the kids have phones. They're listening to a message. So I think it's key. And I say to my players every day. I'm not with my football players every day, but I open my Instagram up to them. And they'll I go to school. It's like, Coach Rice, hey man, you did a good job or whatever. I'm like, they see that. I was like, man, this page is open, and I just tell them, I say it's open, but if there's anything negative or just playing around, I'll block you. But they respect it, because I said I don't want to be a hindrance. I don't say, well, since I'm not at school, you can't follow me. No, this is an open page, because it not only helps me, but it helps my business. But I don't want to be a hindrance to them receiving it. So it's open game, because I was like, you don't have to. And that was kind of my fear at one point, because I was like, well, I don't want to mix business and personal. But I was like, man, forget that.
Right.
They got to learn, man. They don't know if they're not getting it at the house or whatever. It has to be put out there. So I think sometimes we can talk about the fathers being there, but there can't be any excuse. You can build self-confidence anywhere. You can call them on the phone. You can do something, because I think you have that. There's an age limit, man, from when they was born to 7.
Right.
So I heard somebody say, man, once they get past 7, man, it's fair game. Like 8. So you have that 1 or 0 to age 7 to kind of instill that self-confidence, instill those morals, those affirmations, that positive self-talk. So when somebody hits them, will say, "Oh man, you ugly," like, "Nah, you tripping, man." You gotta have that confidence. So I think it's big.
All right, so I want to piggyback, and I'm gonna start this question with you, Mike, because a lot of people really don't know, because not knowing just whatever situation they were in with the mom or whatever the case may be, but how do you build a relationship with your child? Just say, if you're not in the home with the child, just like you mentioned something about the phone or whatever. So how do you stay active with the child if you're not with the mother?
The first thing I want to say is to build that relationship is, if you're not in the home with them, I think you should at least be in communicate with them every day.
Okay.
Not even, it ain't got to be long, like, how you doing, just checking on you. I think it's big for me, as I see, as people, especially fathers, come to games. I think that's huge, man. I think that's huge.
Yes.
I don't know what camera I'm on. If you have a son or daughter, and maybe you're not in the home, if you have a son or daughter and they play sports or anything, it could be in the band or whatever, go to the events, man. That stuff make kids
support.
They make kids day, man. Like, kids come to me, hey, Coach Rice, hey man, my mom, dad, whoever, they not there. Hey, dad came to the game. He coming to the game. I'm like, bro, they play on a whole other level. So I think it's big to do that. And like I said, just that positive self-talk, man. Continue to tell them that they are great. And be upfront with them. This didn't work out, such and such, but I'm here for you. And I sometimes I think we're in a different, like you said, we're in a different generation.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think you can have a parent say, well, such and such did this, he ain't that. You have to say, even though it didn't work out with mom or dad, he still can do this, because at the end of the day, there's 2 different relationships.
Right.
So I think it's important to, like I said, build that communication every other day or every day. Talk to them. Be present, man.
Right.
Be present. Don't just like you said. Don't say you love you and I don't never see you.
Right.
Show up. So
right.
And if I'm missing something, man, definitely help me.
Right. So I want to piggyback on, because this is my brother, and we do share the same father, but we have different experiences growing up. Yeah. And this is what the question I want to ask you. Just like, Dad, we have a relationship because, Dad did whatever he had to do to make sure we had that relationship. Yeah. So how do you feel, like, as far as, because he wasn't in your home every day. So how did you guys build a relationship?
It's funny. It's like, I can remember like yesterday, because it was like a key importance in my life as a kid. It's like, this man who I never seen came out of nowhere to me. You know what I mean? And it was like an amazing feeling. Like I always felt like growing up as a kid, even though the man my mom was with, it's like I automatically knew this is not my dad. But when I actually saw my actual dad, it was just like this hole just closed up. And I remember him taking me to go see my brother EJ, and then it's like, or my mom took me to go visit him, and then it was like I couldn't let go.
Right.
So I remember crying, not wanting to go with my mom or whatever it may be, and then she allowed me to stay the weekend, and you know, he did what he could. He took me shopping. He gave me the opportunity to spend time with my brother. Took me to go see family I didn't even know existed. And then it was like at that point, it was just I was snatched away from my father, but I knew I needed him, but I couldn't get to him. So, you know, growing up with my mom, you know, my dad would try to, you know, would make attempts to visit. And it's like pretty much I had like a photographic memory as a kid. And I remember when I got older and I was able to drive, I just drove to my aunt's house, which is my dad's sister, and I just knocked on the door thinking he was going to answer the door. And my aunt opened the door and she was like, okay, who are you? And I'm just like, I'm Teddy. And she was like, Joe's son? And I was just like, yeah. So she calls my dad, and my dad comes over, and he was just like, you remembered all this time how to get here. And then from there, we just pretty much, you know, stayed in communication with each other constantly, because I knew I needed my dad. My mom only could do so much, but she couldn't play both roles, you know what I mean? So I needed somebody to help balance me out, to figure out certain things about how to be a man in certain ways or whatever it may be. So when I was going through college and stuff like that, he was the anchor that I needed to not quit, to not give up.
That's dope.
He made efforts to, you know, coach and counsel me as best as possible by being present where I was needing him. You know what I mean? And those moments and those opportunities where he would pour into me his failures, so I wouldn't do the same thing in my youth, was key. You know what I mean? So, and then in those moments, it's when he started sharing, like, look, I tried to be there for you. You know what I mean? It's not the fault of your mom. It's not the fault of me. Things just didn't work out. So in those moments, it allowed me to understand that he wanted to be a father in my life, but circumstance be as best as possible, even though I was already in adulthood. But those moments where I felt like I couldn't, or whatever it may be, he just poured into me like, look, you're my son. You're going to finish school. You're going to do this. You're going to get into a career. You'll get married, whatever. But just don't let my failures make you stop and slow down. Don't let my absence in your life stop you from doing things. And those little key things is what I needed. My mom couldn't give me that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I thank God for those opportunities and those moments that we got to share and communicate, so I could be where I am now in life. So,
and that's good, because in a sense, like, you're breaking the cycle. I don't know how much you know, but our grandfather wasn't part of our dad's life. You know, our dad made an effort to be in part of his life. You know what I mean? So I would say to guys or the kids or the boys, young boys growing to young men, break the chain. Just because your dad did it or he wasn't present doesn't mean you have to do the same. You know what I mean? So you have to break the chain. You have something to add to that?
No, I was just gonna say, I was at the barbershop and I seen, and I was listening as they was talking to the guy, was talking to the barber, and he was telling him, he's like, I'm not with my child's mother or whatever. He said, but I'm gonna be here for my children. And he was like, he said he just couldn't understand. And everybody has different situations, but he said he just couldn't understand how, you know, even though, you know, people in just a different situation, they wasn't with their child's mother or whatever, that they can be present to for their child, or in the house, in the home or whatever. So he said he'll never be away from his kid. Now I was like, that was big, man. Kudos to him.
That is.
Because it takes a lot of, I mean, for a guy, it takes a lot, man. You know, we're prideful, man. So, you know, I mean, so that was big for him. So that's pretty much what I had to say. Just to say that he, you know, no matter what he was going to be for his kids, I think it was big.
Because I think at the end of the day, man, the key important thing that you pointed out pride, right? Like, as men, we got to stop being prideful. You know what I mean? There's certain women that will make the situation hard.
Right, right, yes, yes, yes,
you know
yes.
And then you'll also have some guys that'll make the situation hard for the women.
Right,
you know
true,
what I mean?
True.
So at the end of the day, it's just like, but it's no longer about you.
Right.
It's about the child.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what the father does in front of the mother, you're shaping an environment. Right? You're creating a foundation. So if the father is always seeing the mother and the father always going back and forth, they're gonna think that's the norm. But in situations where the father chooses to be absent because you don't want to deal with the mother, it's not about you, it's about the child.
I like that.
So if the child is missing something,
I like that.
Then those are opportunities you caused where you could have been present for that child to help them in areas that they needed as a father to help them grow. You know what I mean?
Right.
Again, my dad wasn't there for my entire youth, but in those moments where I needed him, he made sure that he was there to help communicate to me, here are things that you should do in order to proceed or be successful in life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So as a father, again, regardless of the environment between you and the person who helped you bring this child into the world, you got to put you aside. It's no longer about you. It's about what that child needs.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a father shouldn't have to be in a situation where they have to be put on child support because you choose to run from the situation. If you choose to deal with that situation and you want to be a father in that kid's life, be a father. Don't be a dad, but be a father. Take that time, take that energy, take that effort. Write a check, give the girl the money, make sure you're spending time with that kid so that kid knows that, hey, even though mom and dad ain't together, my father's still in my life. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, what you're creating is a void. You're creating something inside that kid where he's like, man, forget my dad. Because you didn't make any effort. So now when it's time for you to be in that kid's life, he's already an adult. He may already have kids. What do you have to tell me? You already missed out completely. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you have to put away that pride because, again, you're shaping that environment.
Right. So you just basically have to step up to the plate, and, you know, and it's a responsibility. You know, you lay down in a bed and made it, but you don't want to raise it. No, you have to raise it. You have to raise your children. If you can sit down and do the do, sit down and do the do.
Ain't no mistake.
Be responsible. Be responsible.
We knew, you know.
You knew. You knew. You know, Mike, we had that conversation. You knew. You know, I don't sugarcoat anything. You know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So if you want to lay down and do the do and do that, then be responsible as a man and raise your child. You know what I mean? And however way it has to work, you can find a way to make it work if you really want to make it work. You know what I mean?
Excuse. Your child is a gift.
Right.
Why wouldn't you cherish your gift? Somebody gives you a gift, you cherish it. Your child is a gift. Cherish that child. Cherish those moments.
0 to 7, man.
I'm gonna tell you, bro. Another question. I'm gonna open the floor when you guys can answer. So the same thing we talk about fatherhood. On the flip side, we have these young boys looking for fathers who are fatherless. You know, and Mike, you know, maybe you can start with this question because, you know, we both coach and we deal with kids and young kids and it's a lot of moms that come to us that want us to mentor their children. What would you say to a young fatherless child that's seeking that foundation, but, you know, might be looking in all the wrong places to get that foundation of from a male figure?
What I would say to them is, speaking of the prideful thing, don't be so prideful to come ask for help.
You hear that, young guys? Ask for help.
Don't be so afraid to ask for help. And I mean, it hit, and like I said, I blame myself because it hit me. I think I was at practice one day, and I had all the guys just sitting there, and we had dealt with a situation with a young guy, and I told him, I said, man, guys, don't be afraid to come to us. And I told him, I was like, my upbringing is different because I had both parents in the home. But some of you guys, we have different coaches that had different, backgrounds or whatever. So, it's okay to talk. And we use the cliche is, my door is always open. But it gets to a certain point where they need to come in. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yes. So one thing I want to tell them.
I like that.
Is don't be so prideful because at the end of the day, that's what our purpose is here. At the end of the day, is to help people.
Right.
And especially if we in the arena with young males, it always been my passion to help young males. And I tell the story. I was able to have both parents, a mom and a dad. But if you don't, there's help. Mm-hmm. You can find help to, just to create that, that bond and that relationship, right. To help you be a successful young man. Because I told my players, I said, hey, look, hey, y'all got. I'm being honest, man. Your mom ain't gonna always be there.
Right.
You got, I said, 5 or 6 years of man, you're gonna be a grown man.
Yeah.
And you always just can't keep blaming. Well, one kid was like, well, my mom, I didn't have a ride. And she, you was gonna pick me up. I was like, bro, come on, really? I could have taken you home, man. Hey, when I'm coaching, I have a job, I have a duty. If you need a ride home, I don't mind, bro.
Right. That's part of our job.
That's what I do, man.
Make sure they get home.
So I was like, you can't always use it as an excuse. And I was like,
right.
I have a 3-year-old, but I'm coaching 12 and 14-year-olds. Hey guys, even though y'all get to go home, I'm pretty much like a big brother or a father. I'm here to help you. So right. I just think that the big part of young males is come ask for help, man. Don't be so proud for that. Yeah. Ask for help.
Another question too: how important is it for young men or these young boys that you work with, teenagers, to accept constructive criticism? Because that's what we give majority of the time. It's not going to be as nice as mom delivers the message. Guys, we kind of straight to the point and we tell them, look, this is what it is. How important is it for kids who are not used to, because they grow up in a one-parent home, just say they have their mother around, and accepting constructive criticism? Because as coaches, that's what we have to get.
Yeah. Sometimes to be honest, that's why some guys don't play.
Right. Bingo. That's why I asked that question. We have to put it out there for you guys to hear, moms, dads, and everything.
Especially, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Black African-American males.
Yes.
When you don't see it in the home, it's hard.
Boom. Yep. To accept it,
it's
right?
It's hard to say, hey man, I don't deal with this at home. How in the world are you going to tell me what to do?
Right.
So that's right. And it comes from, I love my coaches. Yeah. We're in a different generation. Kids, athletes are way more sensitive now. So it's like
I told you, man.
It's like
we see them.
My old school. I love my coaches,
we see them, man.
But it's just a different.
Totally, they're different.
Different generation of athletes. So I could take the yelling and whatever, but some kids can't do that. So there's a balance.
Right.
For me,
bingo.
I'm a rah-rah guy. I can do both, but I have coaches on the staff that can go be like, hey, little Johnny, that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a balanced coaching staff, but that's why some kids, right now, that's why some kids don't play.
Yeah.
Because they say, hey, they're 17, 18. It's like, man, my mom don't do that, so why would I listen to you? Yeah. So there has to be a certain balance, because at the end of the day, we're coaching based off what we've seen.
Right. Exactly.
And if we're not, exactly. And I don't know if I'm going off key, but if we're not, like he always tell me, if we're not doing our research or we're not bettering ourselves as a coach, then we're just going off old morals, and sometimes that stuff ain't working. So I think it's important to research, and for a kid, if you want a certain kid to play, right. Finding how can I reach this kid without having to, come at him like I'm a father. Because not to get off subject, I dealt with that with a student. Yeah. He felt like I was coming to him like a father, and the principal was like, well, maybe you needed that because it hit you in a different way. Because he's like, honestly, he shows you grace. Because I was like, bro, the way he went at me, I was like, I had to ask God, I said, man, this dude, I said, you about to give me fire. So instead of me doing that, I took him, I said, hey, I took him to the principal, I said, this is a situation that needs to be, intervened, because it's going to get me somewhere I want to be. And the principal was like, the fact that, he brought you in here, and then I apologize, because if I did come at you like that, I'm sorry, because the principal kind of felt he ain't getting that. Yeah. So the fact that I went like that, it kind of shocked me. Like, oh. Yeah. So I think, bro, it's big, man. We can spend a whole hour on that.
But like
constructive criticism, it's important, man, because they're gonna get it. Talking to a kid, to any kid, you're not listening to a coach or a teacher. That's a male, but you want to go listen to the Navy or the Army or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. That's what you gonna get half of the time. Yeah. You can't listen. Yeah. Bro, you out of there. So
done. Go ahead. You finished? Or
I'm done.
You have anything you wanted to add to that?
I think feedback is important, because whether it's in a sport, whether you're out there in the job world, everybody's gonna give you feedback. How you're performing, how you're producing, whatever it may be. You're gonna get feedback regardless. Yep. And if you're going to be in the world where you're in a corporation or 9-to-5 job, at the end of every year or quarter, you're going to get a review.
Exactly.
How are you producing? How are you performing? Well, you're not doing good in this area. You need to do A, B, C, and D. Mm-hmm. If you can't take that, and if you're not doing A, B, C, and D, to everything there's a consequence. Mm-hmm. In a sport, you're just going to be sitting on the bench, riding the bench for a minute because you're not trying to listen to the coach.
Yep.
Something that's meant to help you improve,
right,
or whatever it may be, then you're just not ready for the real world. Because the real world doesn't care. Either you produce and perform to help the business thrive. Right. The same way a sport in your youth, you're just doing it so that you can be better, a better performer, right? So you can get a good outcome. So now when you hit life, you can take that feedback because you know they're trying to help you and improve in an area you're lacking in right now. Right. Because they see the potential, but you're not willing to accept that feedback. And you know, hey, if I need to run a 4.3, but you're running a 4.67, it's because maybe your stride is not moving in the right way. Your hands are clutched, whatever, your body is tense. Whatever the situation, you're just not moving in the manner that you know that the coach is giving you the information to move at that speed to hit it. You have the potential, just listen. I'm giving you the feedback, listen. In the job world, if you're underperforming, you get opportunities to move up, right? But if those opportunities they've given you, you're not meeting, look, maybe this place is not the right fit for you. Bye. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to take feedback and not let it eat you up to where you can't receive it. Because if you can't receive it, then there's an issue, and you just are, again, you're not going to survive this world that's out there because everybody's giving feedback about something. Social media is a whole world.
Oh boy, social media give you
don't
all.
And I know I can come back to the social media thing, but again,
that's part of our world.
You got a lot of kids. If a feedback or a comment is not good, it's sad to say, but they're committing suicide because they can't take, you know what I mean, criticism.
Social media is open up the world.
It makes no sense. And I'm sorry to say it, but I feel like social media has allowed this generation of kids, right? And again, I could be wrong, and I'm finding it, but to be a lot more sensitive. And I get it. Share your emotions or whatever it may be. The expressive generation, the artistic generation, that's fine. Express your views, communicate it, but this generation of kids is a whole lot softer because it's about the importance of a like. It's about the importance of a comment for a picture or whatever it may be. So now when you have a coach or somebody giving you criticism, well, forget you then. Whatever. I quit. I don't want to do this. Or I'm going to take this to the principal, or I'm going to take it to HR or whatever it may be because I didn't appreciate how it came. So now us as leaders have to really think hard about how do I communicate this. So it's almost like now we're coaching ourselves mentally to deal with this person's personality in order to perform, for them to perform in a way to help them get to their goal or to get to the level of success that we know that they can get to. So it's like we're always on a mental coaching process to prepare ourselves mentally for that individual.
And one thing I have to say about that too, when you grow up and mature as a man, to grow up is not to necessarily be coddled by mom, auntie, grandma, or whoever, or even if your dad's doing it, whatever the case may be. As a man, you have to learn how to deal with reality and deal with the truth and take that, adjust, and adapt to your situations, because you will never grow as a human being if you cannot accept the truth.
Exactly, that's facts.
So, our whole thing is, of course, we want to bring people together. And I want you guys are two great dads, right? I want you guys to tell people your most favorite thing about being a dad. Whatever lights your heart up, whatever you think about, like, because I know you're headed back home to your kids and stuff like that. So if you can think about moments or the things that you love about being a father, let's share it to the world. So hopefully they can go back and connect with their kids.
Like, it's going to sound silly, man, but for me, it's like when I come home from work, right? And right when I'm putting the key in the door, it's like I hear the footsteps coming.
They run.
The door swings open.
They run.
It's like, Daddy's home. I love it. Like, for me, it's like I could come home from a hard day of work. But that moment, it's like I just love it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like when you discipline, when you this and when you that, it's like for kids, it's like all that you could hold down to anger, you could hold down to pride, but your kids, they let go. And just those moments, like I love those moments every day because it just lets me know that how important I am and that they're thinking about me or waiting for me to come home and stuff like that. So that run into the door and they say, "Daddy's home."
Mm-hmm.
Boom. That always gets me, man. That one always gets me.
That's pretty cool.
Tristan does that too. But one of my favorite, it's a couple of them, but like this dude is too cool, man. Like I would come to my mom's house and like he'll just come up and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He just walks off.
He is cool. You see you guys have to, one more shout out, Tristan and Daddy Show. You guys have to check it out. But go ahead. He is hilarious. He's so funny. I'm telling you.
And then like he'll say,
"Get your merch."
He'll say,
"Get your merch."
Get your merch. And then he'll be like, he'll get in the camera. I see him. And it's crazy, man, because he like just like me, be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, today you win because the day you live."
You need to watch his videos
all day, man. So it's like, bro, it's crazy, man. Like it's just like everybody say, like my dad seen one of my high school friends at the YMCA, and the first thing he said was like, "What's up, little Mike?" Because it's like spirits, man. So it's crazy, man. It got a whole bunch. But yeah, that right there, that's they're running up to you, man. It's like, cause somebody they're anticipating you being there, man, because they're missing you, and it's crazy, dog. So
cause it lifts you up, man. Cause it's like, again, when you go through a hard day at work, as a coach, I know you gotta go through a lot of things every day where it stresses you, it mentally drains you. But when they're running to you or whatever, it's like everything just drops.
You're a number one
fan.
fan.
What I mean? So it's like, man, all right, let me switch into daddy mode, you know what I mean? And then let's just do what we gotta do. Mm-hmm. And like my son has this thing, like I don't know, man. I love my son because he's so confident in himself. My daughter's so confident in herself. And with my son, it's like he be coming up with all these creative handshakes or whatever it may be. And my wife will be looking like, well, how come I don't have a handshake? She'll be like, I'm like, well,
shout out Fayon, we gotta give up Fayon. He's on YouTube.
So my son will come up with these handshakes and we'll be like, okay, cool, boom, bam, boom.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's cool.
It's amazing because I have a daughter and I have a son. It's just like the personalities are just like different, you know what I mean? Like my daughter, she's like me, you know what I mean? Spitting image of me. And then my son, I'll look at him and he's just like his own environment, but it's like the other side of me, but the humorous side. I'm just like, man, God, you spit out the serious side and you just spit out the this person who's fun loving or whatever it may be. Because it's like with my son, sometimes it's like, man, I'm about to discipline you today.
Yeah.
Dad, come on, Dad, let's start this out. I'm like, I'm trying to discipline you, but Dad, like, he's trying to do this negotiating thing. I'm just like, man, I can't with you, man. But at the end of the day, it's like I just love being a father, man.
That's
so
cool.
It's just
it's
like every moment, every day, something new.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
that's pretty cool.
I just love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, just to be able to see them grow, man. It's like it was fast, but it wasn't fast. He's like, man, this dude was just like here, and then he's like walking around, talking. Like he don't, like my son, he don't even like I kiss him on the cheeks, like, man. Girls kiss, Dad. Girls, I be laughing. I'm like, yo, he growing up, bro. Like, oh man, girls kiss, man. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, he growing up. Mm-hmm. So it's funny, man.
Wow.
But yeah, fatherhood is dope.
It is, and I always feel like, just say from my perspective, just like you said, being a coach, I feel like, of course it takes the two. It's never just one, because she didn't lay down in her bed and do it herself. You know what I mean? There's always two plus more. It takes a village to raise a child, but you have to have that foundation, regardless of how you feel about the person that you slept with. But you have to remember, you chose. That was a choice that you made.
Yeah, there's something that not to cut you up, but there's something that my pastor has said, and I believe in this. You know what I mean? Any decision that you make or the person that you're with, you always have to remember that is the product of your decision.
Right, exactly. I love it. That's big. You make that decision, so you have the responsibility. Don't run away because you have a problem with your spouse or girlfriend or baby mama or whatever name you want to give her. You know what I mean? It's your responsibility to put that to the side because you created another life that did not ask to be born. That's a product of your decision making.
Product of you, boy.
So, as guys, I want guys to step up to the plate. We need to be involved in everything our kids do because just like you guys said, it's very important to them. They're running to the door when you guys stick the key in the keyhole. Mm-hmm. So it's important to them. So just like you guys mentioned before, you have to put your ego to the side.
Yeah.
And be selfless because you created another person. Now you have to be responsible and step up to the plate. Mm-hmm. Any last things you guys want to share? Because I know we've been going for a while, so we're giving you guys some good stuff here.
I'm just going back and listen to this. It's gonna help me with a lot of things. But just last words, man. I think this podcast. Not only for people that's listening, but it makes us aware of what we're doing and what we still can work on as a father, as a human being. And just before, even my ride up here, man, I was just listening to this guy named Wayne Dyer, and he was just like,
Dr. Wayne Dyer.
He's a beast, man. Dyer, he was just like 99% of who we are can't be touched. I was like, God, that was so good, man. Like, so it's pretty much our thoughts, man.
Yes.
So, man, I was just like, so on the ride up here, I was just getting, like he said, just feeding my mind, man. Just finding new ways, because for me right now, I'm just working on transformation. That's been my mindset. Just like where am I going? Where am I in my life right now? Just kind of really, and shout out to E, man. E is like, that's my guy. He's a very, very, as far as accountability. He don't sugarcoat. He's like, Mike. Yeah, it is something, man. Take action, bro.
He's my brother too. I only tell the truth. Yeah, I love helping people.
That's my guy, man. So I can always call. Like, we don't gotta talk for about good 2 weeks, but every time there's never a dull conversation. Yeah. Yo, Mike, what up? So, he's always in my ear. But so I say, just be like I said, just be there, man. If you're a father, just be there, and if you're not there, you just have that responsibility to be present, man. That's it for me.
Okay. Anything you want to add? Last sayings for the world, to help them connect with their children, or to help fathers who might need to get over a hump and who don't know how to connect with their kids or who are not present. They want to take that first step. What type of advice would you give them? Just closing out from everything.
I think the most important thing to remember as a father is that you're the foundation, right? So if you're not pouring in, the right cement, if I'm gonna put it that way, into the life of your kid, then they don't have anything to stand on, right? So as a father, it's always important to be present, to be there, to be active, as best as possible, even when you don't want to in the life of your child, right? So, if there's anything that I can say to all the fathers out there, be a father, don't be a dad, right?
Wow.
To this earlier, they didn't ask to be here,
right.
They're here,
right.
You know what I mean? Right. So the fact that they're here, simply be present, you know what I mean? Because you don't want the outside world influencing your kid,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you don't want to be that person, you see your kid going left, and you're like, how did this happen? Well, ask yourself, what did you do? You know what I mean? So if you didn't help pour into it, then again, the consequences that are happening is because that kid was absent something. There's a void
I like that.
That child was looking to have filled, but where was that other piece to close out that void? So again, as a father, just be there. It's not that hard. Just be there.
Just be there, and that's big. And I want to encourage you guys. We want to encourage all the males out there because moms can't do it themselves. Nobody can do it by themselves. Like I said, it takes a village, and you want to be there and support your child. Just like you said, if a child goes left or not doing the right thing, you don't want to have any regrets. You want to put your best foot forward and step up to the plate and be responsible and accountable for the decisions that you're making. Basically, that's it for today. I want Mike to close us out because he has a little dope saying that he said, let's go ahead and close us out in the gym, baby.
I got you, man. The goals of your future, where God is taking you, will have a different crowd at the finish line than those walking with you today. And there's no limit to what you can learn, so there's no limit to how much you can make your life. Remember, today you win because today you live.
That's dope.